with computers. So let me just stop. I am guessing it is recording. Pause recording, stop recording. No, so it must be recording. Okay, so fingers crossed. So I'm going to stop my video right now, and let's move along with this. Okay, so most of you, some of you on here would probably know me. Some of you probably don't know my story at all. I'm hoping that you can hear me okay, so just raise your hand if you can hear me. It's awesome, fantastic, that's great, wonderful. So as I said before, my name is Lynn Miller. I'm the founder and director of Menofitness. I'm also the creator of the Hormone Enhancement Program. Now, I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 20 years, and 11 of those years were as a personal trainer and 9 of those years as a coach. Now, it wasn't until I hit my 40s that I had the biggest realization as far as hormones go and the impact that it has on a woman's body after they turn 40. At 41 years of age, my life was literally put on hold due to suffering from adrenal fatigue. And it started by waking up every other morning feeling like I really hadn't slept. And this progressively became worse every day. I literally woke up and felt like I'd been hit by a bus. I contracted a bad chest infection. As a PT, I'd never ever been sick. I was as healthy as a horse. So to get a bad chest infection and not be able to get rid of it was, something was telling me that, something was wrong. So I took myself off to the doctor, and I was like a pincushion. They did chest x-rays. I had a lot of blood tests. And a week later, I went back to the doctor to find out the results. I sat down in front of her and she said, "You know what, Lynn? Test results have come back, and good news, you're all normal." So I sat there and I thought, normal? What the heck does that mean? And I remember walking down to the car park and sitting in the car and just bursting into tears. Absolutely bursting into tears, because what I was feeling was not normal. I knew what my normal was, and this certainly wasn't it. It got so bad that I had to have a sleep in the afternoon. By the afternoon came around, I was really exhausted, and I really couldn't get through the day. And that was debilitating for me, because at that time I had, I was a single parent of 4 children. I had clients that I was training. I was running 10 Ks a day. I was zooming around the countryside with my children at their sports events, as we do as women. And I was a busy person. I was in a business with another lady in the health and wellness industry. So my life was full on, and my mind was saying, yes, I can do it. But alas, my body was telling me that I couldn't. The devastating part for me was I had to give up my personal training clients, simply because I felt like I wasn't a role model to them anymore. I moved away from my business I was in and literally stopped life. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I was sinking into a deep state of depression, and with 4 children and being a single parent, it was the hardest time of my life. How I was feeling was not me, and I knew something was wrong, and it just wasn't my normal. I was having lunch with a friend of mine one day, and she said, "Well, have you had your hormones tested?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know, because the doctor didn't really say what they tested for and what they didn't." So she gave me the name of her doctor. I went off there, and this doctor tested my hormones, and in particular cortisol, which the lab results came back and said that I was in stage 3 of adrenal fatigue, which is where my adrenals were absolutely exhausted. That day I could have got down on the ground and kissed his feet, because it was like hallelujah, I knew what I was dealing with, and I wasn't going crazy in my head. But at the same time, it was extremely hard, because I was feeling so bad, and I just wanted to feel better. I just wanted to get back to normal again. It took me actually over 18 months of research and thousands of dollars on specialists to actually find out what got me into that state in the first place. and for me to get from there back to my normal. And basically I really had to get to the root of the cause and then work out the steps I needed to take to fix myself. It was painstaking, to say the least. It was an era, it was a period of just trial and error, you know, where but I finally healed myself, and I got back to like feeling like my own old self again. But that was a 2-year journey, you know, nearly a 2-year journey. So it was kind of then that I knew that this was what many women and GPs were overlooking, and was why women were not getting the results that they want. Now, one area that I found was of extreme interest to me was the fact that women turned to their local personal trainers or fitness professionals for help first. And being a PT, you know, that was an area of my interest. And I kind of thought, well, why not? And you see, according to the National Institute of Health, 100% of women who turn 40 put on weight. And that's if they do not change their lifestyle habit. And this is one of the biggest challenges of women 40 plus, their weight gain and inability to lose it. Hands up who can relate to that. Okay, awesome. So, you know, out of all the symptoms, one can experience, belly fat is one at the top of the list. And of course, one of the most bothersome, and many women just really don't know how to lose it. For some women, they exercise and eat really well, but nothing happens. And some even give up trying because what a waste of time that is. For other women, you know, they believe that in order to burn fat, they have to eat less and exercise more. But guess what? And I'm going to tell you a little secret here. If you do that at 40 plus, this will only make you fatter. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Okay, so let me just change slides here. So why is weight gain the most bothersome? Well, I'm sure you're going to agree with this, but as women, we're our worst own critics. Wouldn't you agree? Come on. You know, we love to stand in the mirror and look at ourselves. Yeah, absolutely, we do. We love to stand in that mirror and look at ourselves and look at all the bad things that are happening. You know, and we have an absolute fear of aging. We don't want to get old. We have, you know, and have everything sagging and bagging. We still want to look and feel attractive to our husbands and partners. We want to have that energy and vitality that we did in our younger days. And you know what? There's absolutely no reason why you can't. It's all about working with your current hormonal status, not against it. Okay. And another problem for women 40 plus is that you're constantly being bombarded with one-size-fits-all fat loss programs and promises. And you know what? They don't distinguish between male and female. They're not age-specific. They're quick-fix gimmicks, and they do not address that hormonal roller coaster that, you know, creates that profound effect on our body after 40. Hands up who have tried, you know, all these diets with no lasting results. Yeah. And trust me when I say, you know, I've been there and done that. You know, when I was feeling, you know, back in when I was going through my issues too, you know, I put on 8 kilos over that time. So of course, you know, I tried some of these diets as well, but once again had no results, none whatsoever. So, you know, for us women, there's a myriad of information out there, okay, about menopause and fitness, and it can be all disillusioning for you because I tell you what, I've researched a lot. And for those women who do seek medical advice, you're often told that nothing is wrong. You're absolutely normal. But you know what? You're storing fat, you're bloated, you're moody, you're hungry, you have massive cravings, you're tired, you're not sleeping. But hey, you know what? You're normal. Does any of that resonate with you? Yep, lots of hands going up, absolutely. For sure. I was told exactly the same thing. So how does a woman know where to start? Come on, that's, you know, we've got to start somewhere. Well, educating yourself is a great place to start. And education really is the key to wandering through menopause blindly, not knowing what to do, and when you're faced with road bumps or symptoms. Or it can mean navigating your way through menopause with your eyes wide open and tackling those challenges when and if they arrive. Okay, but education is the key. All right, but without action, education means nothing. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to find out tonight. We're going to talk about female belly fat. Yay! After 40, yay! We're going to find out. You're going to find out lots and lots of answers to your questions, but it's not yay that we have to be here to talk about belly fat. You will not hear what I am about to share. You will never hear that from a doctor. Okay, and we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour talking about that. I'm going to apologize now if I talk a little bit on, because I can become quite passionate about this. But if you stay with me to the very end, there's some special bonuses for you, and that's my most favorite part, because I like to give away stuff. Okay, I really, really do. So I'm going to ask you, if you're sitting there at the computer and you've got kids or hubbies or things going on behind you, open the door if you're in a room, and give a shout out to the people out there to not to bother you for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Turn off your phones, turn off your Facebook and your emails, because I tell you what, this stuff is going to get exciting. All right, so let's first of all take a look at some facts. Now, there were 477 million women suffering from menopause in 2005. By the year 2025, there'll be around 1.1 billion women over the age of 50 and postmenopausal, and that's according to the World Health Organization, by the year 2025. And we're in 2017, so that's not too far away. There are over 4 million women between 40 and 65 in Australia, and I know in New Zealand there's over 1 million women. Ladies in the States and the UK that are listening in, stats will be a little bit different. But these ladies are from pre to postmenopausal and gaining weight. Why is that? Why is that? And that's the biggest question. But you know what? We're going to find that out a little bit later on. But before I answer that question, let's just go back to basics, shall we? And talk about hormones and what they are. Now, I'm going to say this, and hormones are quite intricate and sometimes quite difficult to understand. So I'm going to, just talk about this really basically in a layman's terms. Hormones are substances in our body that act like messengers, basically. They travel throughout our body, and they can bind to specialized areas of cells known as receptor sites. And these receptor sites are according to what hormone they are. From there, once they bind to these receptor sites, basically they then initiate a specific chain of events according to what hormone they are. Now, hormones ultimately determine the fuel your body uses every day, whether it be sugar or fat, where your body stores fat or whether your body burns fat. They determine your hunger, your energy, your cravings, how full you are, how satisfied you are, your mood, your motivation, and your motivation especially for exercise, and basically your overall health. So you can see that hormones are really, really important. Now, did you know that the average life expectancy for women is around approximately about 80 to 84 years of age? Now, this simply means that women spend up to half their life in their postmenopausal years. Imagine that, half their life in their postmenopausal years. So you can see why it is really important to improve your health now. So if you don't, hey, it's a choice. It's an absolute choice. You can stay where you are, or you can choose to move on. But if you don't, you could possibly live the next 30 to 40 years like the 7 dwarfs of menopause, okay? Sleepy, itchy, sweaty, bitchy, bloaty, forgetful, and psycho. My husband says he's met them all. Absolutely. But hey, you know what? The good news is it can be fixed. Okay. Now, many ladies have no idea that some symptoms that they're experiencing, even symptoms of perimenopause or menopause. They have absolutely no idea, okay? So the next slide here basically shows you some of the symptoms that you can be experiencing. Now, statistics show us that 80% of all women will experience some degree of symptoms, whether it be mild or severe. 20% of ladies actually just breeze through menopause, which is absolutely wonderful for them. But for the rest of us, it can be quite scary. And especially when you feel all alone and not knowing what or why this is happening to you. Now, you see what happens when we look at all these symptoms here, and you're feeling so bad, just like I was many years ago. When you're feeling so low, it's actually human nature to get stuck in the problems and to focus on what is wrong. The more you focus on them, the worse they get and the more problems you attract. Hence, in this case, the more menopausal symptoms you attract. However, what I'd like to say here is we as women, we have such a motherly instinct to help or tend to everyone else's needs. But you know what? We actually forget to tend to our own needs. And as the days go on and as your hormones become more and more unbalanced, you become used to how you feel. Okay, you start to accept all your aches and pains, your tiredness, your bloating, your weight gain, your cravings, and every other symptom that's up there on the screen as your normal, because you get so used to them. But you've actually forgotten what your normal is. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah. Yeah, and we've been experiencing these symptoms for so long that we just have forgotten what our normal is, what it's like to wake up feeling refreshed and alive and have lots of energy. We forget what it's like to be able to sleep well. You know, we forget what it's like not to have cravings, etc., etc. Okay, I like to call this hormonal application. Now, this is a natural form of self-defense, okay? The ability to adapt and ignore distracting information, okay? This ignoring of persistent stimulus is an amazing feature of how our body works. But unfortunately, often acclimation, and in this case, hormonal acclimation, does more harm than good. We humans, we're really hardwired to eventually ignore consistency, okay? In other words, we get used to things. And this is why when we have exercise programs, we have to ramp it up every now and then, because if we do the same exercise over and over and over again, then we just get used to it and no results, nothing happens. It's the same thing. Now, let me use kind of like a metaphor. We've all walked into a kitchen, right, and smelt the yummy smells of, say, muffins cooking or garlic cooking, you know, and we stand there and, oh, smells absolutely delicious. But after a while, being in that restaurant or in that kitchen or whatever, those smells no longer that potent. You know, our senses have become used to it, to the point sometimes where we don't smell that yummy smell of muffins, or we don't smell that garlic. This is called acclimation, okay? This is acclimatization of our senses. This is what happens to us as women, and of course our menopausal symptoms. It's a bit like this this lady in the picture here. Now, who on earth sits outside in the snow in your bikini reading a newspaper? You know, when she first did that, she would absolutely freeze, absolutely freeze. But guess what? If she continued to do that day in, day out through the winter period, you know, by the end of winter, she would become acclimatized to the temperature and would no longer be cold and shivery. And it's exactly the same thing with hormones. But by the time you've become acclimatized to your hormone imbalance, you then believe that what you're feeling is your daily normal. But it isn't. It isn't. And this, you know, the fact is that your daily normal has actually been swallowed up by your hormonal imbalance. Okay. And this can be I find this very sad. And this is one reason why so many women don't do anything about their belly fat and their other symptoms, because they accept ill health and weight gain as part of aging. but it doesn't have to be like that, okay? And you also accept what you're feeling as part of your daily normal. You know, it's like, okay, well, I'm over 40 now, I'm midlife, you know, this is kind of what happens now. And it just doesn't have to be like that, okay? Really, really doesn't. So this brings me to the big question, why the belly fat? Who wants to know this? Come on, hands up. Oh yeah, woo, those hands are going up pretty fast. Oh yes. Okay, well, it's like $1 million question to me. Believe me when I say this is the most, okay, the most asked question that I get. Absolutely. On average, women may experience a gain of approximately around about 5 to 7 kilos per decade as we age. By the time a woman reaches 40, their fat storing hormones are more dominant than their fat burning hormones. Now I'm just gonna say that again, okay, because it's quite important. By the time a woman reaches 40, or you reach 40, your fat storing hormones are more dominant than your fat burning hormones. If you have fat around your midsection, then you have a hormone imbalance. Plain, simple, end of story. There's no ifs, buts, maybes, or anything about it. You have a hormone imbalance. It is your current hormonal situation that determines where your fat is stored. And belly fat is absolutely no different. Now, this brings me onto my most favorite part of my presentation. I love to talk about this, okay? And this is my Bermuda Triangle of hormones. And I call it the Bermuda Triangle of hormones because I like to relate it back to the Bermuda Triangle, you know, in the North Atlantic Ocean, where planes fly over, supposedly, fly over this certain area, and they just kind of disappear, okay? They just kind of get gobbled up into the sea and never return again. Well, it's kind of like women, and I just spoke about this, you know, that your hormones become unbalanced. And you kind of get gobbled up in a sea of unbalanced hormones. And for some of you, you know, you've been there that long that you just don't know what your daily normal is. You just never return. Some women go through their whole life living in a sea of unbalanced hormones, never to return again to their daily normal, never return. So I like to call this my Bermuda Triangle of hormones. And it brings me to the point where women, when we get to 40, women tend to struggle with unexplained belly fat as they reach or approach perimenopause and menopause. This unexplained belly fat is caused by lifestyle choices which influence our hormonal balance and a little tiny bit of genetics, okay? At this time, women can struggle with an imbalance between their sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and you'll see them up the top there. And it is these hormones that have the biggest impact on a woman's physique, and especially when it comes to fat burning. Now, when we go to the doctor and they test our hormones, the two hormones that they test are estrogen and progesterone, and they're our sex hormones or our ovarian hormones. Now, 9 times out of 10, if we have an imbalance between our estrogen and progesterone, the doctor either puts us on HRT or gives us some progesterone cream. Okay, if we have a imbalance, if we have low progesterone, that we get slapped with progesterone cream to rub on anywhere in our nice little soft spots. And if we have a lack of estrogen, we're usually put on HRT to try and bump that up. And that is all very well. There's nothing wrong with HRT or, you know, bioidentical hormones. They all certainly have their place. So don't get me wrong there. However, what doctors don't tell you is what is causing your estrogen and progesterone imbalance. Okay, and I'm going to share with you tonight. Because as I said, these two hormones have the biggest impact on women's physique, and especially when it comes to fat burning. But in order to get ourselves, our fat burning hormones back into place, we have to balance all our other hormones, and we have to get to the root of the cause. Okay. Now, all these hormones that you see on the screen right now, when in perfect balance, are fat burning. And this is why when we are younger, and, you know, we've put on a few kilos, you know, when we're in our 20s and early 30s, and, you know, we've got this party to go to next week, and crikey, we can't fit into our jeans. We've put on a few kilos. Okay, so what do? You know, the first thing that we used to do was cut down on what we're eating and run around the block a few times, right? Yeah, absolutely. Voila. You know, those 2 kilos have gone. Within a matter of a week or a couple of weeks, we put our jeans on and off we go to the party. It's because our hormones were balanced and working optimally. All these hormones on the screen were balanced, okay, and working optimally. What worked for women in the past, or what worked for you in the past, no longer seems to be effective for you now that you're, you know, over 40. Why is that? Big question. Okay, well, for me to be able to answer that question for you tonight, it's really important that you understand the hormonal effects of menopause first. Okay, so bear with me, because this can get a little bit intense, okay, but it's the most important part that you really need to understand. Estrogen is an insulin sensitizing hormone, okay, and a hormone that helps control the adverse effects of cortisol, right down the bottom. Progesterone blocks the impact of estrogen on insulin, but it works together with estrogen in controlling the negative impacts of cortisol, especially the fat storing effect. Okay, so you most probably think, oh my God, what the heck? Why is this important? All right, so as a woman enters menopause, okay, the estrogen and progesterone begin to fluctuate, right? You all know that. Hey, we're you know, you're probably sitting there feeling a hot flush at the moment. But when they begin to fluctuate, and eventually the body, eventually they decline, it leaves the body insulin resistant and stress reactive. Okay, so this means that what we eat in the past no longer works for us, and we become a little bit more psycho than we were before. Okay, we stress out at the littlest things, right? We fly off the handle at the most minute things and make a mountain out of a molehill. So we become more insulin resistant and stress reactive. This means exercising too much, the wrong type of exercise, the wrong choice of food, or too little food, will now affect the hormones insulin and cortisol. Now, insulin is responsible for fat production, and cortisol stores it around the belly. Okay, got it? Raise your hands if you're still with me. Yep, come on. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Now, as these two hormones, insulin and cortisol, are higher up on the scale for fat burning than any other hormone, they are particularly important to keep balance. And the reason why that is because in high amounts, they will push a woman's body into a fat storing machine. And that's particularly when calories are high, and they'll reduce the amount of fat burned when calories are low, okay? And this results in unwanted fat distribution, especially around the middle of the body, you know, that squeezy bit around in between your waist and your ribs there. Hence the term middle-aged spread, all right? But if you're sitting there going, come on, this is all right, it's middle-aged spread, you know, it's just an excuse, okay? Therefore, the transition into menopause often results in fat gain, especially around the middle. Why? Due to high insulin and cortisol. All right. Now, We're going to drop right down. We've talked about estrogen and progesterone and their impact on fat burning. Let's go down to the root of the cause, okay? Because remember I said at the beginning, estrogen and progesterone is what has the most impact on a woman's physique and fat burning. And that's what doctors test for. Let's delve down a little bit further and let's get to the root of the cause, because this is what doctors don't tell you, okay? And this is why HRT and bioidentical hormones are really just a band-aid in some cases, okay? Well, in most cases, it's a band-aid, because doctors do not delve down to the root of the cause. They do not fix the root of the cause. They just see the immediate symptoms and whammo, they slap a band-aid on it and you're all good, Mrs. Jones, away you go, all right? So what we have to look at is insulin and cortisol. Now, insulin is all about the food we eat, and cortisol is all about the stress that we're experiencing. Now, there are two ways to getting fatter, all right? Two ways to getting fatter. You can eat your way there, and you can stress your way there. And when I say stress your way there, it's every type of stress. You can even stress yourself out by the way you are thinking. And that's a whole new topic. But both ways dramatically impact your hormones. So let's talk about, let me explain this a little bit further, and by talking about insulin first. When insulin is high, it suppresses two vital fat-releasing hormones, glucagon and human growth hormone, which are responsible for fat burning and muscle development. And when insulin is high, even muscle loss can happen. Now, stabilizing insulin is vital to prevent things like diabetes, anxiety, depression, heart disease, dementia, stroke, and some cancers. So our goal here is to become more insulin sensitive, which means that your body will be less likely to store fat and will transport glucose into your muscles and not your fat cells. That's where we don't want it to be transported. Okay, so when it comes to cortisol, and particularly cortisol in high amounts, it impacts our circadian rhythm throughout the day, which impacts our sleep, which impacts our ability to produce human growth hormone, which is a fat-burning hormone. Now, human growth hormone is produced while we sleep, in that deep, 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 deep sleep. Our human growth hormone is produced. If you're not sleeping very well, then this is not produced at any reasonably high amounts. Not only that, when we don't sleep, this also increases cravings for sweets and starchy foods, you know the type. And this impacts our insulin levels, okay? Also, when cortisol, we're looking at cortisol, when cortisol is high, our adrenal glands, our adrenals become exhausted, just like mine were. And your body converts progesterone into adrenal hormones. Therefore, it leaves your body progesterone deficient. Okay, so if you've been to the doctor and you've had your estrogen and progesterone tested and they've said that you're low in progesterone, this could be one of the reasons. When progesterone is lowered, the thyroid steps in to maintain sufficient production of adrenal hormones, and this causes stress-related thyroid issues. And sometimes a woman can be tested for thyroid issues, put on thyroxine, and a few months, when they put on thyroxine, they feel great, but a few months later, the symptoms start coming back. And so they go back to the doctor, and the doctor says, okay, we'll bump it up a little bit, your dosage. So your dosage is bumped up and you start feeling better. But then a few months down the track, it happens again. This is because the underlying cause is not being fixed. When it comes to our thyroid, there's two reasons why our thyroid is not working. Well, the primary reason is the fact that our thyroid is just not working. And the second one is that it's been affected by stress. Stress is causing it to not work. So the thyroid becomes, it literally stops working, and this is where you get hypothyroidism and what we call underfunctioning thyroid. So when thyroid function is reduced, the hormone production and metabolism of all other hormones is reduced. This includes the conversion of testosterone to estrogen through the enzyme aromatase, leaving a woman estrogen dominant. So if you've been to the doctor and the doctor said, oh, wow, your estrogen's a little high, but your progesterone is really low, rather than address your high estrogen and try and eliminate some of your estrogen, they kind of give you some bioidentical hormones in the form of progesterone to bump up your progesterone to try and level out that deficit that you have between your estrogen and progesterone. But they're not addressing your high estrogen and why you have high estrogen. And it could be because your thyroid is not working, and it could be because your testosterone, it could be because the testosterone is being converted too much into estrogen, or the other way around, okay? So if you have low estrogen, on the other hand, estrogen decreases, when estrogen decreases after menopause, testosterone builds up, and the symptoms such as acne, male pattern balding, those little dark hairs that start sprouting on our chin, hair loss, we start noticing our hair falling out, your body starts changing, we get that apple shape and that thick waist. These all become apparent when testosterone builds up and estrogen and progesterone start to fall off after menopause, and that's around about 51 years of age. This is also relevant in PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, okay? So when it comes to PCOS, insulin resistance and high levels of insulin are prevalent. Okay, this can lead to type 2 diabetes. It creates a lot of stress and inflammation in the body. And interesting enough, though, I was talking to my naturopath who I work closely with, and I refer a lot of clients to. She said that when insulin resistance is treated through like diet and herbs, nutrients, and in some cases medication, it also improves testosterone and estrogen balance. So that's an interesting fact. So can you see why balancing your hormones is really, really important and getting to the root of the cause? Okay, so I know some of you may be thinking, oh my gosh, this is all, a little bit over my head, but don't panic. I am recording this so you can listen to it a little bit later on and go through it again so you can really get your head around it. But this, my friends, is what doctors don't tell you after 40. Okay, they just deal with your estrogen and progesterone and the clinical presentations that they have right there and then. They don't delve down and get to the root of the cause. Okay, so who's still with me? Awesome. Okay, who's finding this interesting? Awesome. Who has learned something? Fantastic. Okay. All right. Loving it. Loving it. Okay. All right. So the good news is, ladies and the gentlemen that are on board, the good news is it can be fixed. Okay. You don't have to go through life being that, menopausal martyr or, feeling bad. It can be fixed. All right, so don't panic. At 40 plus, women basically need a different fat loss approach, okay? They need a hormones first approach, okay? And here's what I've seen. Women think it's all about food or it's all about exercise, when in fact, a lot of it has to do with psychology and hormones, definitely hormones, but there is an element of psychology needed in there. And I believe these two go hand in hand. They work hand in hand. Unfortunately, the result of leaving like your long-term health in the hands of the medical establishment can be quite expensive for you. For every $1 that is spent on a gym membership or a PT or a coach, $112 is spent on fixing our health problems in hospitals and in medical care. And I spent many years ago working in the ICU and in Pindara Hospital. And I've seen all too well, people coming in over and over again with having heart attacks and health problems. And if only they just changed their lifestyle habits before it happened. But they were never taught that. They never were never proactive in their health. And as a result, some people were just like regular customers in the critical care having heart attacks. All right, and it was a sad state of affairs. And it simply means that, fixing your health later is a whole lot more expensive. And, but unfortunately, most programs make no distinction between male and females, as I mentioned earlier. And yes, women do need a different approach. So we need to address your psychology and underlying hormonal physiology first. And this is the only way to get results. And the guiding principles that help me regain balance and transform my life over the last 10 years are simple, absolutely simple when you know how. There's absolutely no reason for anyone to overcomplicate things. It's not something that you need to overthink, all right? In fact, I feel that these steps are so incredibly important that it's a must. It's a must that all women include them in their part of their health portfolio. So is it okay with you if I share with you my principles, of which I've made into an easy 5 steps? Is it okay if I share that with you now? Just raise your hand and let me say absolutely. Thank you. All right. Perfect. All right, you're going to learn something here, okay? So the first and foremost, okay, is change the way you think. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. As it stands now, there is so much negativity around menopause. In fact, for a long time, when I 10 years ago, when I first started, investigating hormones and menopause, it was really a taboo subject for a long time. And there's many jokes and sarcasms out there about menopause, and the media, oh my gosh, the media promotes heavily anti-aging, wrinkle-free is the better option, okay, as the better option. So no wonder, we as women have a fear of aging and think the way that we do. It's drummed into us. But trust me when I say that one thing is clear, okay? Menopause is not better or worse than any other phase in your life. It's not, okay? It's just different. And our purpose is different. Our purpose in life is different. Our role in society is different. But being clear about the role, embracing it, we can find deeper acceptance and more joy in our hearts. But first, you have to make the decision to change. And a big part of that is changing your mindset. The way you think on a daily basis, negatively or positively, affects your hormones. And it's important that we see menopause as an opportunity and not a hindrance. We wake up in the morning, and I used to do it myself. We wake up in the morning and, we hadn't slept very well. And the first thing we do is, feel all the aches and pains as we try and roll out of bed and put our feet onto the floor. And we think, oh my God, how bad do I feel? Geez, I wish I could just have a sleep. Oh my God, just let me sleep. I feel so bad. And as you get up to walk away, you can hardly straighten up. Your back is, is sore. Everything aches, everything's painful, and you just mosey on out to grab a cup of coffee because you need that energy to get yourself going. If we change the way we think about menopause and change the way how we talk to ourselves in the morning, can make a big difference. Talking to yourselves in a more embracing and positive way sets your day up, okay, in a better way. Now, your personal transformation begins with making the choice to change your mindset and your vision for your life. Okay, what worked for you in your 20s and 30s, remember, doesn't work for you now. So it's a whole new way of life that we have to embrace. So this is why a mindset is really, really important. Once we do change our mindset, after that, healthy choice, lifestyle choices in all other areas can be addressed. For example, your hormones. Okay, so it's important. Step 2 is to restore your hormones. When I was back feeling so bad, let's just go take one step back. When I was feeling so bad, the first thing that I used to tell myself in the mornings was, oh God, why me? Why me? I was playing victim. You know, I'm in the health and wellness industry. Why me? And I was in victim mode. So my mindset was dragging me down. That was the first step that I had to get my head around and change. The next step was my hormones. I had to figure out what my hormones were doing and how I got to feeling so bad in the first place. So one thing that I want to get clear is menopausal symptoms are not normal. Okay, menopause is, but menopausal symptoms are not. And if you're experiencing these, then it is your body giving you signals that your hormonal communication system is damaged and just not functioning optimally. Okay. And I've had the question from a lot of women saying, oh yeah, Lynn, you know, why do you need to find out your hormones? Because hormones fluctuate all the time. Yes, absolutely they do. Okay, and it's due to outside stresses, outside stimulus, also internal stresses and stimulus. Our hormones do fluctuate from day to day, week to week, month to month. They also fluctuate from second to second. Okay, however, if you have extremely high estrogen and low progesterone, your hormones are not suddenly going to go whammy and you're going to have no estrogen and more progesterone, or your hormones are not going to be suddenly balanced. Okay, the fluctuations are quite small. So even having your hormones tested, it will give you an overall picture of where your current hormonal status is right now. And as I mentioned earlier, hormones determine everything. Okay, so it's really, really important to know your current hormonal status so that you can optimize your health right now and help prevent age-related diseases into the future. All right, so that's step 2. Okay, oh, that's right, I forgot I had these in here. Now, what I wanted to show you, because people ask me about hormones and, you know, test results and things like that, I wanted to actually show you what some ladies' hormones are, and it doesn't matter what they are. I've found that these are my clients' results that I've asked if I can show. I've taken out their name and birth, of course, their details, but it doesn't matter what age you are. Sometimes women like this lady here is 21 years old, have hormonal imbalances, and she was suffering terribly from acne. And this is why it's important to know your current hormonal status, okay, at 21 years of age. Now, as you can see, she had low estrogen, hardly any progesterone, and she had more testosterone. This became testosterone dominant. Now, this 21-year-old girl has a hormone profile of a 51-year-old person that's gone through menopause. She was developing facial and body hair where she really didn't need it, and acne was a huge problem. She was on medication from the doctor for her acne. Now, the doctor didn't actually test her hormones and address the underlying cause. Okay, he just put her on medication and also the contraceptive pill to help regulate her hormones. The next one here, 31 years of age, exactly the same hormone profile and experiencing the same thing, acne, huge acne problems at 31. This lady here, 47, and this one's a little bit of a sad story actually, and I only just spoke to her. Now, we did this testing back in 2013, and her, as you can see, her estrogen was off the Richter scale. okay? And her progesterone was quite high. Now, you don't normally see high progesterone, but she had gone to the doctor and they tested her estrogen and progesterone. And she was extremely low in progesterone. So she was given bioidentical hormones in the form of progesterone to bump up her progesterone because her estrogen was quite high. So it meant that she had a huge deficit between her estrogen and progesterone. But instead of addressing her estrogen dominance and finding out why she had estrogen that was totally off the Richter scale, they gave her bioidentical hormones. Yes, it bumped up her progesterone, okay, but it didn't address her high estrogen. And also at the same time, she had a hugely high testosterone at the same time. So there were underlying issues there. And what I did was I actually sent her off. I said to her, this really needs to be addressed by a specialist. So I did refer her on, and because it was something that really needed to be looked at further. I spoke to her, and I said to her, look, I'm here to serve, I'm there for you, and I didn't actually hear from her for a long time until about 3 months ago. I spoke to her, and I said to her, gosh, how are you going? She said, well, actually, she says, I'm undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer. And her breast cancer was hormone induced through estrogen, high estrogen. Now, I don't say that to scare you, by no means, because not all cancers, breast cancers, are hormone induced, okay? But her one was. And so I just wanted to point out that this is one reason why it's important that you have your current hormonal status tested. Okay, another one, age 50, exactly the same, high estrogen. All right, another lady at 52, estrogen very low, progesterone dominant. Notice her cortisol levels are very, very, very low. Okay, all right, so this is just the next, well, sorry, this is just giving you a snapshot of we're all different. We all have different hormonal situations. So we're all an individual, and this is a reason why we need to address our hormonal situation. Now, next step is looking at your food, okay? Once again, I have to mention psychology towards food, okay? You have to change the way you think about food. Food is not something you throw in your mouth to fill up, just to fill up on, okay? Food is information to your cells, okay? Particular food can tell your body whether to store or burn fat. And the right foods, believe it or not, also signal to your brain that you're full, okay? Now, another thing is that many women, 40 plus, have grown up in an era where magazines and TV and other sources of media have enforced low-fat diets, and we have been sort of brainwashed into thinking that's correct. And to the point where women are actually scared to eat fat, all right, because they think that it's going to make them fat or it's really bad for them. In fact, it is not, all right? Now, I don't know whether you knew this or not, but just a little bit of info here. Your brain is the fattest organ in your body, okay? It consists of 60% fat, and it depends entirely on adequate essential fatty acids to perform optimally. And this is crucial when we age because of our memory fades and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. So it's important to get really good quality fats into your body. Not only that, good fats are also the building blocks to all our other hormones. So if we're low in good cholesterol through essential fatty acids, then our building blocks, our body is unable to produce all our other hormones. So a well-balanced diet is necessary to balance your hormones and especially balance your insulin levels. Okay, so that is something that I work very, very hard on myself. So step number 4, reactivate your hormones, okay? Enhance your fat burning hormones. This is really, really important because most women that start exercising, when they start to put on weight, they start to exercise more or harder. But the only thing is that makes a bad situation worse. And what happens is your energy levels start to plummet, your appetite skyrockets, and intense cravings start to set in. Now, for some ladies, you know, you see on Saturdays or in the weekends, sometimes, you know, those crazy, insane infomercial workouts, you know, that kind of like assume that you have a fitness level of a 20-year-old. You know, some ladies get in there and start, you know, working out to these exercise regimes. And the problem is after 40, you know, our joints and our muscles and things aren't the same. And we put ourselves at big risk of injuring ourselves. So, you know, we have to work out what is best for you when it comes to hormones according to your current hormonal status. Now, fortunately, emerging research is showing that intelligent form of metabolic training is really, really good at combating, you know, frustrating fat gain and those sagging muscles. But remember, exercise is a type of stress. So short-term exercise is really good for us. Long-term exercise is not. Long-term stress is not good for us. So if you want results from your exercise, you need to master the art of exercise efficiency according to your current hormonal situation. So what that means is doing the right amount of exercise to get the results that you want and no more. And this is really hard for some that are addicted to exercise. And that was my case as well. I ran 10Ks a day, and I was a ex-marathon runner as well. So it was really hard to get my head around doing just the right amount of exercise and no more. And what I see is too many women out there flogging themselves in the gym like a crazy woman, and they end up getting fatter just on eating their sleeves. And this really has to stop, okay? It's not good for us after 40. All right, so this brings me to step number 5, and allowing your hormones to recover. All right, take control of your lifestyle choices and include recovery lifestyle activities into your regime. And for me back then, this was really, really hard to get my head around, because I was such a busy woman, and I was flitting here and flitting there and doing all sorts of things. And to actually slow down and just stop was really, really hard for me, and take time out for myself. I remember doing a yoga class, and we were massaging our feet, and I thought, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. You know, how is this good for you sitting here massaging your feet? But we really, really have to take charge of our stress. You know, stress can make you fat, and it can keep you fat. And it's also a breeder of disease, all right? And this is where I see many women struggle. And it's the shift from giving to receiving that is often tough for women. As women, we're really wired more to give. And this is what we're used to doing, and it really makes us feel good, you know, giving to others. Receiving kind of makes us feel a little bit guilty, because we're doing things for ourselves, and for some odd reason we feel guilty about doing that. Well, I'm going to give you permission right here and now, okay? Right here and now to do this for yourself. You are allowed to receive. Because it's when our own bucket is full that we are able to give to others fully, okay? And if we don't give to others, then how can we you know, be... The problem is we try giving and giving and giving, but we're feeling so bad for ourselves, and we're getting snaky, you know, we're getting grumpy, we're getting, you know, we just don't feel good. So how can we give quality to our family, friends, and others when we're feeling so bad? So I give you permission, okay? And also, coming on the plane over here to Mexico, you know, the first thing that they say when it comes to your oxygen mask in an airplane is to put it on yourself first, then you're able to help others. So look after yourself first, then you're able to give to others. Not only that, it relaxes your hormones. Okay, and a lot of women have actually gone away on holiday They've been stressed out, they're overweight, they've had enough, they thought, right, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm going on holiday. And they've sat around the pool, they've relaxed, they've drunk margaritas, they've eaten lots of food and everything. They've come back from holiday and whammo, they lost 5 kilos by doing nothing. Okay, the reason is because they've lowered that stress hormone. Remember, we talked about that earlier. Okay, so include some recovery lifestyle activities in your life. Okay, find something relaxes you, whether it's Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, deep breathing, massage, leisurely walking. If you want to go and learn how to paint or go and do a photography course or learn a language, do what works for you. Okay, it's important that you start doing things for yourself. All right, so that's those 5 easy steps. Thank you very much for coming tonight. But before you go, I have got some gifts to give away. I'm absolutely excited. I love giving away gifts. So for everyone on the call tonight, I'm giving away 2 free hormone enhancement coaching sessions. Okay, so we can assess where you are right now, and how we can help you move forward in the rest of your life. So that's valued at $138 for a thank you. I'm going to give you 2 free hormone enhancing coaching sessions to you. So send me a private message if you want to take me up on those 2 free sessions. And for those who just want to really get started, I'm going to give a one-time special offer to those ladies out there that really want to make a change, are really set in their, have made that decision and really want to go ahead. Okay, this is a one-time special offer. It's a hormone enhancement coaching program. What you get for that, your very own menopause coach and fitness expert. That's moi. I'm not taking on a lot of clients at the moment. I'm actually really fully booked, but I'm going to leave this open for, I'm going to offer two people, 2 very special people. I'm going to take on 2 more coaching clients. And this includes monthly personalized meal plans, hormonally matched female-specific fitness plans, accountability sessions, okay? And this is over phone or Skype to keep you on track, accountable and motivated. A menopause mindset program, okay, now this is amazing. I've put this together myself, and it helps you overcome those self-sabotaging habits, overcome doubts and fears, and reframe your limiting beliefs. Because, you know, sometimes we really get stuck with you know, rather than, we get to a point sometimes and then we self-sabotage, even when it comes to food. All right, so it has online quizzes to assess your hormonal balance, fat loss roadblocks right now. We have a 4-step hormone first guide that you can download and print and keep. We have, you know, I'll be sending out your menopause and fat loss coaching emails every day. We have a very, very special VIP group that you'll have exclusive access to. Personal journals, we have a fitness app that you can track and monitor your nutrition and training, and this is really important. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay, regular assessments, including hormone testing and consults. Okay, so tonight I'm offering this for 2 special people. I'm also going to chuck in there 2 free weeks. So the first 2 free weeks are going to be free. Plus, this also includes a complete saliva hormone profiling test kit. Okay, so we'll send that out by post, and this is going to track your current hormonal status. And this is valued over $300. Now, this is all going to be for just $59 a week, but the first 2 weeks are going to be free. Now, normally, the 3 months, this is a 3-month coaching program. So normally it's $69 per week, but I'm going to shave off $10 tonight for the first 2 people who private message me. So thank you for everyone that has come on the call tonight. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Private message me right now. Be quick, get in there, Lynn Miller, and just PM me, and I would love to give you those 2 free coaching sessions. Or if you just want to get started, take me up on this special one-time offer. It's only going to be there for tonight. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and thanks for being on here. Bye for now.